They were among the toughest elite athletes in the world, but it was their single-minded drive that, ironically, may have left some of them vulnerable to a sexual predator. Some women of Team USA Gymnastics say they were forced to endure psychological and physical abuse in the name of Olympic glory, and that they're now fighting back to protect the young athletes of the future.
She will forever be one of the Magnificent Seven. At just 14, Dominique Moceanu helped Team USA clinch gold in 1996. But her journey to Olympic glory, she says, came with the backdrop of psychological abuse from her legendary coaches, Béla and Károlyi.
I was just scared of getting in trouble all the time because they had this sense of control and fear in the gym.
For years, Moceanu has been a singular voice, speaking out against the Károlyis and the empire they helped build, USA Gymnastics.
I've been speaking up for 10 years and people are finally now listening.
This week, she testified on Capitol Hill.
I have firsthand knowledge of how the culture set the stage for other atrocities to occur. It is a culture of fear, intimidation, and humiliation.
Standing with her, fellow champions Jamie Dantzscher and Jessica Howard, who say that culture created an environment that allowed their team doctor, Larry Nassar, to sexually abuse them and many others.
I trusted USA Gymnastics, but I was sexually abused, as were so many other athletes.
Dr. Nassar abused me at the USA National Training Center in Texas. Worse, he abused me in my hotel room in Sydney at the Olympic Games.
Nassar was the head physician for Team USA Gymnastics for 19 years. You can see him here helping Károlyi Strug in this iconic moment after she injured her ankle vaulting in the 1996 Olympics.
Dr. Nassar acted as the good guy, supporting me emotionally and promising me relief from the pain. Now I know that in actuality, he expertly abused me under the guise of treatment.
The three former gymnasts shared their very personal stories with the Senate Judiciary Committee to support landmark legislation that would help protect young athletes from sexual predators.
Protecting all children in sports from abuse is of paramount importance. That is why this bill is so vital.
Dr. Nassar has denied these allegations of sexual abuse. USA Gymnastics officials were invited to testify at the hearing, but declined, citing pending litigation. But in a statement given to the Associated Press, USA Gymnastics says it cares deeply about the issues raised and supports the bill. Though Moceanu herself was not a victim of Dr. Nassar's alleged sexual abuse, and the Károlyis themselves have never been accused, she says her years working with them left emotional scars.
If you walked late to an event, there was a chance you could get kicked out of the gym. So things were very, very stressful.
She says her fate was in the hands of Béla and Károlyi, who were known for their brusque style and uncompromising methods. They coached the likes of Nadia Comaneci and Simone Biles to greatness.
You would see the winner type, the ones who elbows through everybody.
For the lucky ones, the road to Olympic stardom led to the Károlyi Ranch in Texas. But when Dominique arrived there as a young teenager, she says it wasn't what she'd imagined.
A lot of the athletes weren't smiling, they weren't as happy, and it just right away, when I walked in the gym, I felt like this sense of coldness.
She says when gymnasts were injured, they were pressured to keep training.
As if you, the athlete, were weak. If you spoke up and said, I'm hurting, you are not allowed to say, I'm hurting. And so that creates a cycle of psychological warfare in a way. I got humiliated. Oh, I was mortified.
Moceanu says this culture of shaming and fear was ultimately to blame for the recent allegations of sexual abuse against Dr. Nassar.
We were around a lot of adults that were kind of cruel. And so it opened the door for a predator to start grooming and being your friend and being nice to you. Hence, enter Dr. Nassar. He was the nice one. This environment created that open door for him to kind of know and zero in on who he could groom.
Jamie Dantzscher says it happened to her.
He was helping me get to my Olympic dream, something I've been dreaming about since I was 3 years old. I didn't even question it.
Dantzscher took home a bronze medal in the 2000 Games in Sydney, a shining triumph. But behind it, she says, a painful trauma.
He did touch my breasts underneath my T-shirt. When he first did the procedure, we'll call it, I was either 13 or 14.
Dantzscher says she met Dr. Nassar shortly after making the national team, seeking treatment for back pain.
He said that there is a procedure or a way to get my hips back in alignment when he would put his fingers into me vaginally. And I don't know how I wasn't uncomfortable, but just being a kid and being a little girl and being in such an intense environment, I was so miserable because I felt like I got in trouble every day for something else. I had no idea back then that he was doing something wrong.
Rhythmic gymnast Jessica Howard says she also didn't realize what was going on.
Like, I was so trusting, so it didn't even go through my head that this man could be hurting me.
She told ABC News she was willing to push through almost anything in order to become a 3-time national champion. Howard shared her story with ABC's Lindsay Janis.
You come from an entire environment of silence and strength and
doing what you're told.
Doing what you're told, obedience, and I just did what I was told. I had had extreme hip pain, like to the point where I would wake up in the morning unable to walk.
So you showed up in your shorts and no underwear, and you laid on the table, and what happened next?
He began massaging kind of my quads and my IT bands, and then he got closer and closer, you know, to more intimate areas, and then he penetrated me.
Today, Nasser was in a Michigan court facing charges of criminal sexual conduct involving a victim under 13 years of age. The alleged victim wasn't a gymnast or a patient in his care. It's one of 4 different ongoing criminal cases against Nasser involving underage sexual misconduct, none of which are connected to his work with USA Gymnastics. Nasser has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
This guy is despicable, this guy is disgusting, and he's a monster.
In total, more than 100 women and girls say they were victims of Nasser, at least 60 of whom have filed complaints against him.
I want him to spend the rest of his life in prison. The number of people that have come forward, the things that he's done are reprehensible and an affront to basic human rights. And I believe that he deserves to be punished for what he's done.
Some, like Dantzscher, also want to hold the Károlyis accountable. She filed a civil suit against them and other members of USA Gymnastics.
They created an atmosphere with intimidation, fear, and control. You know, we weren't really allowed to talk. They controlled what we ate. They controlled when we spoke.
A spokesperson for the Károlyis tells ABC News, quote, the Károlyis vehemently deny the allegations made against them and the existence of a toxic environment. The Károlyis did not have any knowledge of any complaint from anyone concerning any athlete's alleged mistreatment by Dr. Nasser until they learned of his dismissal from USA Gymnastics during the summer of 2015. And for Moceanu, who's now a mother, it's not just about justice for the past, it's about changing the future.
The way I look at it is, I can't change the past. What I can change is the future. I want to heal the future and be part of saving so many future athletes, the angst and the pain that we all went through.